First walk in December, from the Nature Lovers book. "It's December," said Janet, looking at the calendar. "Soon it will be Christmas." "Oh, lovely," said John, thinking of Christmas stockings, Christmas trees, and Christmas pudding. "Oh, it's really winter now," said Pat, looking out of the window. "The sky's grey and heavy. The trees are bare, except for the evergreens, and the countryside looks dull and dreary. Not even Uncle Mary would find very much that is exciting." "We've been for 2 walks every month this year," said John. "I've loved them. I've learnt such a lot too. Things I never knew before. And I've got a lovely lot of pictures stored up in my mind," said Janet. "Do you remember the golden buttercup fields, John? And the bees murmuring in the limes?" "Yes, I remember," said John. "And I remember the blue kingfisher diving into the stream, and the lovely swallows soaring through the air." "And I remember old Fergus being chased by a rabbit last month," chuckled Pat. But Janet and John flew to Fergus's defence at once. "The rabbit was not chasing him. They're going round and round that oak tree, but Fergus was after the rabbit. You know he was, Pat." "I should just think so," said Uncle Mary's voice, and he walked into the room with Fergus at his heels. "Are you children ready for a walk? I've got to go away for a while before Christmas, so I may only have today to take you. Then perhaps our next walk could be on Christmas Day itself."
"Oh, Uncle Mary, that would be lovely," said Janet. "Uncle Mary, Mother says, will you come to Christmas dinner with us? We'd love to have you."
"Thank you," said Uncle Mary. "I accept with pleasure. But is Fergus also invited?"
"Of course," said John, kneeling down by the Scotty and giving him a hug. "As a matter of fact, Uncle Mary, we wanted Fergus here for Christmas, and as we couldn't get him without you, we just had to ask you too."
John had such a wicked twinkle in his eye as he spoke that Uncle Mary chased him all round the playroom. Now, children," said Mother, appearing at the door. "Oh, really, Mr. Meredith, you're as bad as the children. Have you come to take them for a walk?" "Of course," said Uncle Mary. "I can't think why they're such a long time getting ready." Fergus scampered off to help the children to get ready. Then they all went out of the front gate and into the familiar lane. It was a cold and frosty day, and they pulled their coats and scarves warmly round them.
"Doesn't Fergus want a coat too?" asked Janet. "I've seen dogs wearing coats, Uncle."
"They don't need them," said her uncle. "Animals grow thicker coats for the winter time. When the spring comes, I shall have to have Fergus stripped of some of his coat, or he'll be too hot. Horses grow thicker coats for the winter too."
"Animals seem to prepare well for the winter, don't they?" said John, remembering how the squirrel stored up nuts and acorns, and how the dormouse became fat and tucked himself away in a comfortable hole. "I suppose nearly all the hibernators are asleep now, Uncle."
"All of them," said Uncle Mary. "The bat hangs upside down in hollow trees or barns. The snakes are curled up together somewhere. The dormouse and the hedgehog sleep in their holes. The badger is safe in his den with his family. The frogs are in the pond, and the toads under big stones. The snails are clustered together on rockeries or beneath walls. And thousands of insects are so fast asleep that you might think them dead."
"Oh, Uncle, look! Hazel catkins already!" cried John in delight, pointing to some short green catkins growing sturdily on the hazel trees in the nearby hedge. "Oh, somehow they make the springtime seem quite near."
"Yes, it's lovely to see them in December," said Uncle Mary. "I always like the bareness of the trees, too, much as I love the greenery of spring. You can see the beautiful shape of the trees now, and it's lovely to see even the tiniest twig clearly outlined against the sky."
"I never thought twigs were beautiful before, but I do now," said Janet thoughtfully, as she looked at the sharp-pointed beech twigs. "Uncle, the beech twigs are so sharp
that they really prick me when I touch the points.
Yes, you can always tell beech twigs by their thin, sharp buds, said Uncle Merry. The horse chestnut, you know, because the buds are
fat and sticky,
said everyone at once. Yes, said Uncle Merry, laughing. And see, look at the ash buds, black as can be, bold, hard buds on the straight stem.
And I rather like the oak twigs too, said Pat, looking at an oak tree that showed untidy clusters of buds here and there. I like the way the oak buds grow, all jumbled up. No pattern or proper arrangement. And look, Uncle, there's an oak apple. Oh, do you remember how I brought one to you and said it was the fruit of the oak tree, as well as the acorn?
Yes, I remember, said Uncle Merry. Well, it's a mistake shared by many other people, Pat.
The children enjoyed trying to tell the bare trees by their twigs and trunks. The birch was easy to recognise, for it had the silvery grey bark that the children loved, and its twigs were light and graceful, waving in the wind. There are plenty of berries still left on the hedges for the birds, said John. Look, hips and haws, Uncle, and even a few elderberries too.
Shall we gather some? Said Uncle Merry. If we're going to have a bird tamer soon, we can nail twigs onto the back of it for the birds to perch on, and we could tie sprigs of berries to the twigs.
Oh, yes, said the children, and gathered as many berries as they could. They saw some privet berries too, on the privet hedge round the farm garden. Uncle Merry was sure the farmer wouldn't mind them having some of those as well.
I dried some rowan berries, he said. I can put them in water to soak when we want them for our bird table. The birds will like those too.
The rooks and jackdaws were still in the fields. Peewit stood about, and some white-winged gulls soared high in the air.
They've come inland from the sea, said Uncle Merry. Each year they seem to come further and further into the countryside. In London, thousands come up the River Thames each year, though there was a time when not one came. Birds and animals change their customs and habits, even as men do.
Uncle, we must take holly and mistletoe for Christmas decoration, mustn't we? Said Pat eagerly. There are so many holly trees round here, and they're all loaded with berries.
Yes, you'll find plenty, said Uncle Merry. Oh, here's a beauty. Do you remember seeing the white holly flowers in the springtime?
The children nodded. Why are the leaves so very prickly? Asked John, feeling the edge of one. I know why they're so glossy and tough. It's to prevent the leaves from giving off too much moisture in winter time. Isn't it, Uncle?
Yes, said Uncle Merry. Well, John, I should have thought you knew that the prickles are grown for the same reason that the hedgehog grows his armour, to keep away enemies that might eat him.
Oh, yes, of course, said John. He looked at the top of the tree and noticed that the leaves there had few prickles, or none at all. I suppose the top leaves don't grow prickles because animals can't reach so high, he thought. How clever trees are. They seem to think of everything. Uncle, I don't expect any caterpillars feed on these tough leaves, do they? Asked Janet, picking one.
What about the holly blue butterfly? Asked Pat at once. Good boy, said Uncle Merry, giving him a pat. The holly blue caterpillars do feed on the tough holly leaves. Good mark for you.
You won't be able to come with us and cut the holly for decoration, will you, Uncle Merry? Said Janet. You'll be away. We'll have to come by ourselves. We'll be careful not to spoil any of the trees.
What about mistletoe? Asked Pat. Where should we get that from, Uncle? I'll show you a tree where it doesn't grow too high, said Uncle Merry. You know that there's not a real mistletoe tree or bush, don't you? It grows on other trees, and is what we call a part parasite, because it gets some of its food from another plant.
Uncle Merry took them to where a clump of black poplars stood.
On the poplars were many big, thick tufts of mistletoe growing from branches. Near the poplars was an oak tree, and this too had a big tuft of mistletoe on one of its sturdy branches. "The oak tree will be quite easy to climb," said Uncle Merry to Pat. "You'll be able to cut a nice bunch of mistletoe from that tuft there, and take it home with you nearer Christmas time." "Oh, yes," said Pat, seeing quickly how he could best climb the oak. "Uncle Merry, how does the mistletoe grow on the oak? And on the other trees? How does it get there to begin with?" "The mistle thrush put it there," said Uncle Merry, smiling to see the astonished faces of the three children. "That's why he is called Mistle Thrush, because he's so fond of mistletoe berries." "How does he plant them?" asked John. "Well, the mistletoe berries are very sticky," said Uncle Merry. "The thrush has a good feast of them, and then he wants to clean his beak. So he wipes his bill carefully on a bough, leaving behind him one or two of the sticky mistletoe seeds. These put out what are called sinkers, suckers that pierce through the bark of the tree right down into the sap." "And then the mistletoe draws up the sap and lives on it," said Janet. "Very cunning." "Very," said Uncle Merry. "As soon as it has several sinkers drawing up sap, it grows a pair of sage-green leaves. The mistletoe's leaves are never the rich, tender green of ordinary plants, as I expect you've already noticed. It has the dull colouring that many parasites show." "It gets others to do its work," said John. "I don't think it's a very good plant. If I were a plant, I'd do my own work and not live on others." "Quite right," said Uncle Merry. "I hope you'll always feel like that."
"Does the mistletoe have flowers?" said Janet.
"Of course," said Uncle Merry. "Look out for them in the springtime. Be sure to examine the pearly berries well and see how sticky they are inside. Look for the one seed too. And don't eat either the holly or mistletoe berries, because although the birds do so without harm, you will certainly be very sick."
The children turned to go home after that, making a note of where the mistletoe was so that they might come out again before Christmas and gather the decorations they needed. "We'll get enough for Uncle Merry's house too," said Janet to Pat in a low tone. "We'll decorate his study for him. He'll like that." The children managed to find a few flowers, even though it was December. The usual groundsel, chickweed, and shepherd's purse were found, an unexpected red campion, and a rather small dandelion, whose golden head had no stalk at all. "It's so afraid of the frost that it doesn't dare to grow a stalk," said Janet. "So I can't pick it. But there it is, Uncle. A flower in dull December."
"We'll have to look for Christmas roses later on," said Uncle Merry. "We'll just have a peep at them before we go in. Do you remember finding them on our walk round the garden last January? Oh, what a long time ago that seems."
They went in at the gate and walked round the garden to see if there were any Christmas roses showing. There were a few stout buds uncurling their heads from the hard ground.
"They will be out by Christmas," said Uncle Merry. "How nice. We shall be able to give your mother a bunch of flowers from the garden."
As they went up the garden to go indoors, the children heard sounds of angry song and saw two robins fighting fiercely with one another. They fell to the ground, both singing angrily, striking with their wings and pecking hard with their sharp beaks. "Oh, Uncle, look! Why are they fighting?" asked Janet, distressed. "I don't like it. They mustn't."
Uncle Merry laughed. "Oh, there won't be much harm done," he said. "You see, robins feed mostly on insects in the winter, besides on the crumbs we give them, and there are not very many insects to be found now, as you know. So each robin likes to have his own little kingdom, his own little beat, in which no other robin is allowed to poach."
"How amusing," said Janet. So I suppose one of those robins chose our garden for his winter kingdom, Uncle, and fought the other robin when he came poaching on it. I expect it's your robin that's poaching.
One of the robins flew away, rather the worse for wear. He flew into Uncle Merry's garden, sang defiantly, and then disappeared. "Yes, I think my garden is his kingdom," said Uncle Merry. "I really must apologise for his behaviour. Fergus, I sincerely trust that you will never behave like that." Fergus panted and wagged his tail.
He says, "How could you think such a thing?" said Janet with a laugh. "Goodbye, Uncle Merry. See you at Christmas time. You will come back for Christmas, won't you?"
"Of course," said Uncle Merry, jumping over his garden wall and landing safely in his garden. "And remember, don't wait for me to take you for walks. Go for some by yourselves. And when I come back, tell me all you've seen."
"We will," promised the children. And indoors they ran, glad to see the big playroom fire gleaming and dancing in welcome.